So I'd like to bring in my agenda panel. Amanda Terkel is the politics managing editor, that is, for the Huffington Post. Steve Bennett is an MSNBC political contributor and runs the Meadow blog. And Maria Teresa Kumar is the president and CEO of Voto Latino, as well as an MSNBC contributor. And with a welcome to all three of you, I'm beginning with you here, Maria Teresa. One of the big headlines today on First Read is watching the rhetoric versus the action when it comes to immigration. What did you think of House Speaker Boehner's explanation for this piecemeal approach that they're undertaking?
Well, the piecemeal approach isn't a surprise. It's what the substance of that piecemeal is going to look like. And as Luke just mentioned, it's going to be very heavy on protecting our borders and national security. But really, that's two different sides of a coin. One is, how do you prevent future inflows of immigrants? But then how do you deal with the 11 million undocumented people that are within our border today? And the idea that many Republicans want, and not many, I would say actually the minority of folks in Congress of the Republican Party want a legalization without a pathway to citizenship is highly contested among Republicans on the Senate side and even the administration. And I think that's what we need to watch out for. When they say piecemeal, does it mean that it's only going to be national security, or is it going to be some sort of economic stimulus and also addressing the issues of the undocumented living here right now?
Okay. Republican Congressman Steve, talking about Paul Ryan here, he was on the Daily Rundown yesterday. He laid out a rough draft of the principles that Republicans are working on for immigration. Let's listen to what he said.
That's the kind of a process we envision, which is not a special pathway to citizenship, and it's not going to automatically in any way give an undocumented immigrant citizenship. We'll give them we'll give them probationary status. They have to earn their way to a non-probationary work permit while we make sure that we secure the border.
Okay, is this how he makes it palatable to his colleagues who are opposed to reform?
Well, I think this is where...
Yes.
I'm sorry, this is for Steve.
Oh, sorry.
That's good.
No, I think you're right. I think this is how they try to make it palatable for the rest of the Congressional Republican Caucus. I mean, in some ways, it's kind of hilarious because on the one hand, in the Senate, what we have is a bipartisan process where Democrats and Republicans compromised and reached an agreement. But in this case, we have conservative Republicans negotiating with very conservative Republicans, and the result is a package that only they will like. And I think Paul Ryan started sketching that out, but in terms of his interview yesterday, but I still think the end result is something that it will be very difficult for anyone outside of the House GOP caucus to really embrace.
Okay, Maria Teresa, did you want to just weigh in quickly on that?
No, I think that's absolutely right. And I think that the problem with that is that he's looking at it through a lens of amnesty, and what we should really look at is see that Europe had actually created something very similar where they created two classes of citizenship, and then all of a sudden you had a huge division, whether you look at the Turks in Germany or you look at a lot of the Arabs in France. People that were born there or had come there, they didn't have citizenship status. That actually created a lot of turmoil. So you'll have a lot of immigrant rights groups saying, sure, we'll take residency, but that's not good for America, because all of a sudden you have someone that is not loyal to a flag.
Amanda, can you weigh in on the importance of legal status to overall immigration reform?
Sure. I mean, well, I think that if Democrats are saying no way, if there is not the chance for a path to citizenship, they are not going to support it. And I mean, as Stephen, Maria Teresa have been saying, what happened in the Senate was a bipartisan process. And it wasn't just Republicans and Democrats. It was religious groups, business groups, immigration reform advocates, labor leaders. They all weighed in and supported this very delicate package. And right now, House Republicans are putting together something that does not have that widespread support. But Republicans really need to, I mean, one important thing to note is that a path to citizenship is incredibly popular with the public, including with the majority of Republicans. So what Republicans have to make sure it doesn't happen again is what happened in 2012 when Mitt Romney won only 27% of the Latino voters.
Yeah. Can I ask, before we move on to our next topic, each of you, starting with you, Maria Teresa, and then you, Steve, then Amanda, is something going to happen in 2014 on immigration? What's your best guess? Just give me a yes, no, or maybe.
I think something will happen. Is it going to actually be, does it pass? That's something that the administration signs? I doubt that.
Okay, Steve?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think there will be a bill that actually comes out of the House. I think it'll be a very bad bill, and I don't think it'll go anywhere.
Amanda?
Something will happen, but if it can get through both chambers and signed by the president, that is not clear.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on to this one. This is about former Congressman Anthony Weiner. He's giving Congressman Michael Grimm some advice on dealing with reporters after Grimm threatened to throw one off a balcony. Anthony Weiner writes in the Daily News, quote, "An investigation that's hanging over your head is the kind of thing people might be curious about. People ask you about embarrassing stuff even when you want to talk about other things, especially when you want to talk about about other things. So, Steve, I'll begin with you here. Representative Grimm has apologized. How badly do you think this is going to come back to haunt him during the election?
I think it certainly doesn't help. I mean, Congressman Grimm is already the subject of an ongoing criminal investigation. He's a scandal-plagued congressman. He barely won re-election in 2012. This isn't exactly the sort of thing that an incumbent wants to have on his record when it comes to the comes to re-election. One can imagine the attack ads that are already taking shape at the DCCC. So, I also think that there's a larger context to this, which is that, Republicans wanted to be focusing on their message and the Democratic message and the president's message from the State of the Union address. And instead, they're talking about Congressman Grimm, who threatened to kill a journalist. The question.
Yeah, by throwing him off or breaking him in half like a little boy. I mean, that was just so weird. Maria Teresa, Weiner also says you have to roll with the punches as an elected official. Do you think this is a sign of a larger narrative in the Republican Party right now, given all the different areas where they're having trouble?
Well, I think, first of all, I'm not sure if Grimm actually wants any advice from Anthony Weiner, but perhaps this is an area that he knows well. But that said, I think that the Republican Party definitely is having a brand problem. And let's not forget, this is actually in the backdrop of the backyard of the Bridgegate scandal over in New Jersey, where Governor Christie has always been proclaimed a bully, but then we actually see what that bullying leads to. It actually hurts the citizens of New Jersey. And that's basically the same thing that's going to happen now, is that they're weaving a narrative that basically casts them as bullies, as people that don't care about their constituency and will stop at no ends. The fact that they would do that on live on a rolling camera also makes you think that they feel like they're untouchable, and I think that's something that they really have to tussle with.
Or somehow they forgot the camera was there. I mean, really. But Amanda, Grimm certainly considered to be, or at least was considered to be, one of the younger rising stars in the party. I know I've had him at least a handful of times on my broadcast. What is the next step for the GOP here?
Right. I mean, this is not just a problem for Michael Grimm in re-election, and it is a problem for him. He represents a swing district in Staten Island, but it's a larger problem for the Republican Party, especially in New York State, where he was considered a rising star. There are 27 congressional districts in New York State. Republicans have just 6 of them. Democrats were already trying to get this swing district that Obama won back from Michael Grimm, and now it's even more of a target, and Republicans have to sort of figure out who is their next rising star, who is the new face of their party in the state.
Okay. Amanda Terkel, Steve Bennon, Maria Teresa Kumar, good to see you all. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Alex.